I would have liked to done better always. But I had a number in my mind going into it, and I think I ended right where I wanted to end. I really wanted to push that national record mark back as far as I could, and I think that I did everything that I could that day to push it far back there. So.
Now, when you found you did get the record, can you just describe the emotion and the overall excitement to?
Uh, I was very excited. All the night, I didn't really get super nervous until after dinner the night before. We were driving back to our hotel, and I told Chris, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting a little nervous," and he goes, "Well, finally." And I said, "I know, I haven't let myself think about it." So all that night and the next morning, I was telling myself, I really want to get this out of the way. On my first throw is either going to be right into the cage or it's going to be 60 meters. I was hoping for at least 60 just to kind of go ahead and put the first place spot out of the way. That way I could just play with the next 5 throws and not really think about it. And so I let go of it. And I was like, oh, it's at least 60, 61. And they said 63, 73. And I was like, what? Okay, that's awesome. And, they had to take my hammer away and go remeasure it and reweigh it. And then they pulled the heavy tape out to measure the mark, and I got 2 more centimeters, I think, on it. So it ended up being 63.75. And it was just really exciting because there was the national record and the championship record out of the way on the very first throw, and I knew I had 5 more to play with, and, it just completely overwhelmed my body. I was shaking. I was getting goosebumps, and I don't know, usually that happens on my 5th or 6th throw, and then I don't have to do any more after that, but I still had 5 more throws to compete with. So I was very excited to get that out of the way on the very first one. I'm sure I saved some years of my life and some years of Chris's life as well, getting it out of the way.
What was it like for you? You already have a national title, so it wasn't like, okay, this is my last time to get one of those. You already had 2. But to make it 3 and then to knock out not only your personal record, but an NCAA record, what was that like in the moment for you?
In the moment, I didn't... Everybody kept asking me how much confidence I had going into it. I didn't want to be overconfident because, I had seen a couple days before a girl that is a championship caliber athlete. She has several national titles, and she couldn't do it that day during competition. She didn't get a second, and I just remember telling myself, I don't want to be that person. I want to show up and I want to do what I know that I can do, what I'm expected to do. By everyone else, especially myself. I expected it of myself, but I still wasn't going to be so naive as to think that I could just walk in and take it. So I went and I showed up, and I knew I needed to compete because there was a lot of talented ladies there, and I knew that at any time any of them could pull one right out of nowhere and compete with me, and so I needed to take care of business quickly and establish that, get it out of the way. A third one, I was sitting there thinking, 1 is amazing. I was thinking back on that time last year. 1 is incredible. 2 is unreal. And 3 is just, I think that's just a testament to the program here and to my coach. 3 is incredible. 3 national championships in two seasons. That's unreal. And I'm very blessed to have been able to pull that off and to have had the opportunity to accomplish that.
What was going through your mind before the final throw? Because the final throw was the best.
Yeah. The final throw, what's funny, so I set the record on my first throw. The next throw was another mid-63, still my second best throw to date. And then my next 3 throws went straight into the cage. I was going into, I was fine. I was confused and getting frustrated as to why my throws were going into the cage. I walked over to Chris, and I was saying, I can't finish it. My legs aren't letting me finish my 4th turn. I feel like I'm going too fast. I can't finish it. And he's just like, he looked at me. He said, "This is your last collegiate throw." And right then I was like, oh my gosh, this is my last throw in this uniform for UT Tyler. And I don't think that a lot of athletes get that. That's part of what's amazing about getting to throw in track and field. You get 3 chances and then 3 more chances. For me, I got 6 chances to think, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then that last chance I got to think, okay, this is my last one ever. So he said, this is your last collegiate throw. Set up the winds like you know how to set them up, and then screw it. And so I was like, okay. So I let all these different emotions hit me at once. Sadness, fear, anxiousness, excitement. And I walked into the cage and I took a deep breath and I set up the winds, probably not perfectly, but as best as I could in that moment. And I said, screw it. And I turned as best as I could, as fast as I could. And I let it go. And I remember it took off to the left. And I was like, please, for the love of God, do not hit that cage. And it cleared the cage. And then I was like, please don't be out of the sector. And it was like, I don't know, Chris could tell you, I'm sure he measured it. It was like 6 inches to a foot away from the sector line. But it was in. And even the official threw his hands up because he knew that it was even better. And I was sitting there and I was waiting for them. I was waiting for the distance to pop up on the board, and it never popped up, but I heard the lady say it, and, you know, I just started screaming and jumping, and I ran to Chris as fast as I could, and I couldn't believe it, because, you know, before he had told me, you've done everything you wanted to do, you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish, and in my mind, I'm like, no, I didn't, because I didn't hit 64. I wanted to hit 64, and on the last throw, I barely did it, but I did it, and it was the best feeling of my life thus far.
Just real quick, as you look ahead to the future, you've clearly already dominated collegiately.
Mm-hmm.
What is the plan to go professionally, or as you look ahead, what's next for Whitney?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to hang anything up. I do want to continue on a professional path with hammer throwing. It's something that I've completely fallen in love with, and I know that there's still things that I can fix, things to get better with. Even this week, just thinking back on everything, I've already picked out several things that I know I could fix, and talking with Chris, there's several things I could fix. So I don't want to be done. I do want to attack a professional career, which, you know, every time I say it, I have to sit there and question myself because it blows my mind. I have to, you know, I ask, am I good enough for this? Am I going to be able to accomplish this? And I feel like with our training, I could accomplish anything. And that's not, you know, being cocky. It's being confident and comfortable in the system that we have and what we're doing. So I do want to pursue that on a professional level. I want to keep throwing, see at least what the next 3 years have in store for me. And then if it continues after that, then for sure continue on doing that. You know, the best woman in the world is 31. I'm 22, so I've still got plenty of time. So excited.
Yeah. I was talking to your coach a little about, you're talking about professionally, the Olympics. Is that something you're starting to
Yes.
make dreams about?
Yes. I've definitely been entertaining that thought for quite a while. You know, people bring it up, and you know, I'm like, oh no, it's just, you know, it's just Division III. That doesn't mean that Olympics are in store. There's plenty of other dozens of hundreds of other girls that are so much better, so much more talented than me. But that is what I have my eyes set on. You know, 3 years sounds like a long time, but it's really not, because I have so much field to cover. While I've covered so much in the last 4 years, I mean, 11 or 12 meters in the last 4 years, that, you know, I only have 3 years to cover so much more, just to make it to the trials and then to actually make the Olympic team. I do feel confident that if we stayed on the correct training path, on the training path that we're on, then that could definitely be a possibility, and that's something that I want to try for.
Cool.
Yeah.